So today we are actually going to our very first orphanage, and I have to be honest, I'm a little bit excited but also a little bit nervous. I feel like when I went to orphanages by myself, I know how I can handle it, but now I'm taking my kids and I'm taking my husband, and I've never taken them to an actual orphanage before. And this particular orphanage has babies in it, and we are going to the store and we're gonna go pick up like formula and diapers. They actually asked for a little bit of like Pediasure. Some of the kids come in sick, and so they need like something that tastes good, like honey vanilla flavored Pediasure, so that they can actually get some nutrients in their body. And also I guess a lot of them are HIV positive, and so we have to be really careful that we're only giving them nutrient foods. And what we're really going to do is just come with love in our hearts. We're going to go and get those supplies that they needed and asked for, and then just go spend some time playing with them, engaging with them, saying hi, maybe helping them with some schoolwork. We don't really know, but it is our first one, and then we can keep going back and bringing more supplies and get a better idea of how we can serve. And before we take you on this journey, I need to tell you that actually when I got here, I had a list of orphanages I was going to go to, and the more I dived into it and the more I talked with people, I realized that this is a really poor country. It's a third world country, and so what happened is some orphanages were set up kind of as scams. Not that I can judge them for doing it, but what happened is they were creating these so-called orphanages. The kids actually had parents, and they paid the parents to put their kids in these places for the week, which were called orphanages to people like us, so that we would take care of their kids for them. And they actually made a little bit more money than if they were to try to live on their own here in Bali. So the kids were there to just kind of collect money from people like us, and then they could go home and give it to their parents and to the workers at the orphanage. And I can't really blame that, I don't judge it, but I really wanted to make sure that the money that we had raised from all of you and the money that we were using, that we used it for those kids that are really, really struggling and really could use the extra nutrients or don't have the medicine that they need to get through their sicknesses. And so we really aligned our game plan so that we could make sure that we were going to those orphanages where they were hit the hardest per se, and really didn't have parents, or they were found on the streets. And so that's why it took us a little time to actually do this. We're about 11 days into Bali right now, so this is our first orphanage, and I'm just really excited. I don't know what to expect, and I do know this, that a lot of them do not allow cameras inside there. I will do my best, because I know you guys want to see their eyes and just see the joy that we're gonna get to experience by being there in person, but I'm gonna do my best. I think I have to build up a little bit of trust, let them know that I'm not here trying to exploit the children or to create judgment within their orphanage, and that we just have a lot of you guys out there that really want to follow this journey and that are pouring your love into them as well. So I will do my best, but I'll take you on the journey of us buying all the stuff. And I just wanted to share with you too about what was going on with some of the orphanages here in Bali. I'm so humbled by all of you for donating so much of your money and a lot of your hard-earned money for this cause. I think this is a seed that's being planted here in Bali, and I think I'm on to wanting to help out a lot of other kids. We keep hearing about different organizations called Children of the Forest, where there was sex trafficking going on with these children, and they actually have this safe place for them once they get freed from the sex trafficking, where they can go into the forest with other kids, get some help psychologically, just receive a lot of love, nurturing, being straight in nature. And so I really want to look into that and see how I can help and really support that endeavor. Ready to go? Let's take our journey. This is what you see everywhere. This is a pretty grown rice field, and there's water in the bottom, and you'll see like way in the distance, they have like homemade scarecrows type things clear in the back. Beautiful trees, so green, tons of rice fields. The typical home over here we're going to take you to. You can see the thatched roof That's very traditional to Bali. A lot of modern villas have been brought in over in this area, but right there is a very traditional thatched type roofing. And then this is a home that you will see everywhere. It's kind of a makeshift Balinese home. You can see the different woods, makeshift fence. You can see through here, tin. We've totally met the family, but this is their home. This is how they live. You can see a chicken wandering around in there. Chicken. This is the dog sleeping in their little house right there. We're at the supermarket. We're gonna pick up a bunch of fresh fruits and veggies and diapers. So we need to grab a cart. Perfect, grab two. Filling up the baskets with all sorts of fruits, picking out their favorites. Just picking out the unique fruits. I am going to pick superfood fruits. So, Aya, it is a really good superfood. Melons, watermelons really help with like fighting infections in your body, so there I go. Look at all the rice here. It's easy to get rice in Bali. Let's go get some fresh veggies.
That's awesome. Should we get some?
We should get some carrots. Yeah, we should get some for us.
We'll get some on the way back.
And we need to get some olive oil. It's not cheap here either. For 15 bucks, but it is the best oil. So I am getting it. Sprouts, corn. We're doing pretty good. Could put it in. Just look at this.
Couldn't find it, so I got lotion. Is that else?
What are you buying, Danette?
For you.
Wrong. Danette, I got yours right here.
Hey you guys, I just wanted to take a minute in the quiet of my room actually to connect with you guys and really talk about this experience I'm having with giving back to the orphanages and some other unknown giving that's actually come up. And I feel like I've been kind of waiting to share all of these like deep stories with you guys via this YouTube or blog because I'm still learning to process through them. And I just want to take a minute and just kind of share some stories with you, what's been happening, the things that we're showing up as and seeing and that we're being confronted with in this journey. So when we got here, we came with the intention to go to 5, maybe 6 different orphanages here in Bali that we had actually researched online. And we got here, and a lot of you who are watching, you actually donated money, which was so amazing to have your support and to just really feel like you were on this journey with us, with our family. And it just kind of felt like such a family thing we could all do together. So thank you so much, because that just means a lot to me that you would come along on this journey with us. And just to kind of go back just a little bit to the behind the stories of why I'm doing this, why I felt called to do this, because I think there's a lot of ways we can show up and serve, and there's a lot of ways we can be and serve and show up in our heart, right? So 6 years ago, around 6 years ago, I had lost my son, and it's a little longer than that, but I had gone to Bali. It seems like it just happened yesterday, but and I was just in this, I had now had my daughter, and I was still in this place of just trying to heal. I was going through a really hard time, not only in just losing my son and really asking these deep questions, because as we all know, when deep things happen in your life, or a heartbreak, or what we call is SHIT hits the fan, it's like, it seems like when it rains, it pours. And that was what was going on in my life. Like, I was finding out things about my marriage. I was finding out this like deep stuff that was going on in me, this guilt, this sadness of losing my son. And I just wanted to do something, I think, to change the karma, to give back. I just realized that life was really short, and I didn't even know if tomorrow I would have tomorrow. It was like this opportunity to do something that's completely different. I really wanted to do something that mattered in my heart. I didn't want to just do the day-to-day tasks. I wanted to do something that was really different for me. And for me, I'd always felt really called to serve in an orphanage. I felt really like I wanted to do something in honor of my son's death and life that he had done and given to me. And I really wanted to do something for children. And I tried to reach out a few orphanages, not even necessarily in Bali, but I wasn't hearing back. And I had reached out to this one I found online in Bali, and they wrote back and they were like, don't send your money. Yes, we could use your help. Will you come and bring us food and a few supplies? We need like school supplies, we need hygiene kits, and we need food. But if you try to send them via mail or send money, it will not get to these children. And of course, when I heard that, I was like, these guys are legit. Like, I've got to get on a plane. I've got to do what I can do. Like, I'm feeling this in my heart at this time. But I think the reason I was really feeling it in my heart is because my spirit knew how transformative it would be. That I would get on a plane, travel 24 hours to the other side of the world by myself, and step into the unknown. Step into something that my heart asked me to do. Regardless, I had a little bit of fear. I didn't know if I was safe. I was traveling by myself, and I had to find this orphanage. And long story short, I went to this orphanage. I had gotten a driver, and I spent the day with the kids, and I had brought all the things that they needed, and I did it in a short amount of time. So it was this pivotal moment for me to react quickly to something that was beating in my heart, and to feel the immediate swelling that comes with that, right? This immediate feeling of, oh my gosh, I stood in what I felt my heart needed to do. I'm feeling so much happiness. I'm feeling so much energy around it. And that trip to Bali so long ago really was a pivotal moment for me, because I started to really honor that part of me that said, yes, you should go do that. Yes, that might seem crazy, but do it. Yes, like, you don't know if you have tomorrow. So yes, jump into that. So I started to do that, and more in my life. And I watched as my life got better and better and more meaningful, and I started to see that my spirit was shining more. So I always felt really called to come back to Bali with my kids, because I learned that it was safe. I knew that it was going to be transformative for them. I wanted them to see how much they really have, and no better way than to offer at an orphanage. And I also felt like my kids could be super healing to those kids as well. We were here with this dream that was like literally a dream for very, very many years, but now in this position where we can give so much of our own resources, and a lot of you donated, so we have way a lot to give. So we get here with our hearts open, ready to serve. We find out that some of these orphanages that we found online are not true orphanages, and they're kind of set up as scams. And I really wanted to reach the kids that really needed our help. I had that intention. I knew God knew the hearts of these kids. I didn't have to know it, but He would direct us. He would direct us to situations, orphanages that were the right ones. And so the first one we went to, and you guys, a little bit of the clips in here are of us shopping. We're at the grocery store shopping. My kids are picking out different foods, but the legit orphanages do not let you take cameras in to their orphanage. They're trying to protect these kids. They don't want people exploiting them. So I don't have any footage to give you of these beautiful children. All I have is my stories. So we went to the grocery store. We bought tons of things. It was super fun to just buy healthy cartfuls of food. And we knew that the first one we were going to was more of kind of like a hospital. It was really set up for those kids that were going to die. They have HIV, the parents don't want them anymore. They were gonna get left on the streets, and they were gonna die because they were super sick. That's the first one. We walked in, this little 2-year-old, he was covered and looked like severe burns. And we thought it was severe burns, or it looked maybe like a skin disease, but really he had, and I can't even remember the name, but it was basically a skin disorder. But most kids, even in America, Australia, die at the age of 2. But if you can live to 2, your odds of surviving are a lot higher, because the skin, I guess, is regenerating so fast that it just is sloughing off, but it kind of powers the organs, the eyes get closed shut, and you can't see, you go blind. And this little boy, he had very glossy eyes, but these nurses were lathering with him so much care, sloughing off his skin. About every hour he has to get his skin scrubbed, which I guess is kind of painful, just to keep him alive. And he was 2.5, and he was so cute, and he just wanted to play with us. He wanted to engage with us. My girls started going outside and jumping with girls their own ages, girls that came in looking like on their deathbed, but now able to play, and they were still in the healing process. A lot of them don't know when their last day is, but to just be able to spend time with them. And we actually have been going back, because we know that we can give diapers, we can give baby formula, we can give medical supplies, we can give all these things, and that's what we did do. Because formula, Pediasure, medical supplies are not cheaper in Bali. Food is a little cheaper, but not those things. So they really needed our help with that, because they're only operated on donations. So the kindness of Australians and the Hong Kong, from Hong Kong officials and from us in America, we were able to give them those things. But I think it was really our time. So going back multiple times just to let those kids know that we love them, that they're worthy of our visits, right? So that's something, when we left, we were like, the food is nice, the supplies is nice, but these kids need to know that we love them, because as soon as we said bye the first time, you could feel them shut down a little bit. Like, you could feel that wall going up. Like, I've been abandoned so many times in my life. You guys have had an amazing day with me. I kind of felt like I bonded with you, but you're never coming back. And we really knew that it was important that we took time to go back, even though it was like an 1.5-hour windy drive road to get there. That was what we needed to do. It was really more about our time than our resources at that point. Of course, bringing food and bringing more supplies and diapers is amazing, but it was really about the time. And the beautiful story too with this is, so our very first orphanage, which was this, was we had a driver that picks us up from the airport. They spend time with us, driving us from spots on the island, and they stay with you. So they literally hang out with you for 10 hours a day. And we became friends with this driver. I mean, he told us about his family, he told us about his rice fields, his cornfields, he brought us samples from his cornfield. He was an amazing, amazing man, and we got to know him because you're spending so much time with him. And we talked about political things, but the coolest thing is we did talk about his daughters and his love and his philosophies on life. And his philosophy was, yes, I'm Hindu, and yes, you might be Christian, and we might believe different things, but all the universal language is love and just accepting people for who they are. So he was such a good man, and he was a tall, skinny Balinese. We could tell he worked really, really hard. And we were having him take us to the first orphanage, and we got word that he had passed away 2 days prior. And we were like, we were just with him like 3 days prior. He died that night. Like, how does this happen? He was like in his 40s with 3 daughters, his youngest being 3 years old. It was just so sudden, it was so sad. And even though we got that news, I knew we had to still go to the orphanage that day. I was crying. I mean, I only knew the man for 2 weeks, but we just felt this connection with him. And I'd had this deeper knowing that it wasn't just by chance. Like, we needed to know of this passing. We needed to help his family. But in that moment, we were gonna go to the orphanage regardless. So we called up this other driver. We got connected with this other driver. He's driving us to the orphanage. He's a young boy, he's in his 20s. We're proceeding to get to know him in broken up English. And he proceeds to tell me that his family was kind of going through a hard time, that him and his wife had lost their son less than a year ago, and their son was 1 year old. As I sat there and listened, I could feel his sadness, and I could totally relate with his sadness. I totally knew what he was feeling, and I thought, how divine of our creator, whatever you want to call it, God, source, universe, that he knew he needed to connect him with our family, that he knew that he needed to connect with us that day as we were going to an orphanage, because it was that act of me going to an orphanage many years ago that was a healing turning point for me. So this very stiff, buttoned up 20-year-old who tried to act like he was 50 was driving us to the orphanage. And he didn't even know what an orphanage was. He didn't even know where it existed. We were just leading him by this address. And he parks and he's like, I'll be out here waiting. And I said, no, you're coming in. We'd like you to come in and be with us. Of course, we're paying him to hang out with us, so of course he has to come in, but I knew in my heart that there was no accident. This was no coincidence. This was completely divine, that he needed to go to this orphanage with us that day. And we walked in, and not only were we seeing those little boys, and he's watching my girls play with other little girls, and my husband's talking to the older kids, but there's these brand new little boys, infants, like 4 or 6 months old, that have HIV, but oh, so cute. And him and I, we held the brand new babies together. We played with those babies as we watched everyone else playing with the other kids. And I got to share with him that I had lost my son. And it was in the losing of my son that brought me to Bali in the first place, to an orphanage like this. And that is why I'm back. And he was like, so surprised. He didn't even know that these orphanages existed in his own island. He didn't know that him and I had something that common. He was still mourning with his wife. He's actually celebrated his son's birthday as we were here, and we've become really close with him, taking him to other orphanages. And I know without a doubt in my healing, I needed to meet him for his healing, that all of this is so divine, that God, source, universe, whatever you want to call it, is so hyper aware of each one of us. He loves us. And the biggest takeaway is his massive love for us. He knows if we're taking a test. He knows if we're fighting with our spouse and we're feeling sad, alone, we're looking for someone to connect with, we feel alone. He knows our losses. He knows our gains. He knows our victories. He knows every single detail. He knows the tea and coffee that we sip. And he loves us. Moving on from that story, so I'm just here saying, I will serve. Every day I'm saying, what do you want to show me? What do you want to serve? We have this money, we have this resources, we have this time. What do you want? What do you want us to do? And I'm just amazed at what's coming up. So from that first orphanage, we went to Katut, who was our first driver's family's house. They didn't know who we were, but I felt really called that we needed to go. And we brought money because in Bali, the Hindus, if someone dies, it's a massive ceremony. It uses up a lot of their income, which most of them live off about $170, $300 a month of US dollars. And a ceremony can cost up to $300 for a funeral type ceremony, just for all the stuff that goes into it. And this is what they believe, whether you believe it or not, this is what they believe. And it's not my job to judge, it's not my job to question it. My job is just to show up and love. And I knew that we had that particular driver because we needed to show up for his family. And they were heartbroken. They were like, it was a sudden death, and that's a different story, and I will do a different YouTube on that. But long story short, we have been giving them money and food and taking food to them, and I'm gonna do a whole different YouTube on that. So stay tuned on that, a different blog about that, because that's been a different way to serve that we didn't even realize we were gonna show up and do and serve. And since then, we've also gone to other orphanages. One of them hosted 91 kids. If I say there was chaos in there, that's an understatement. It was still a place of love. I mean, I know there's orphanages out there that are very still, very rigid, no personality, not a lot of love, and I wouldn't say this one was one of those kinds. There was a lot of love there. There was a reading room and a music room, and I mean, yes, by our standards, maybe not as nice, but by the Balinese standard, yes, it was a nice place. But 91 kids, they go through like 3-kilo bags of rice a day, you know, so we've been going back and back. They need food because that's obviously run by donations as well, and it's called the Jodi O'Shea Orphanage. And of course they don't want film in there, but they've also offered us to come in and teach, which we didn't think we were gonna get to because most people have to come in on a special visa to come in and teach. We could come in and give food, but to come in and teach, I guess we got invited, which is really beautiful. So just spending a lot of time there. And not even a lot, we can allot to about 1 to 2 days a week because that's all they really want, because these kids actually go to school, which is a huge blessing for them that they get to go to school. So these kids have it really well. And so now we're just playing around with this idea of maybe going up north where there's not a lot of tourists and there is a lot of poverty, and buying a bunch of food and just giving out to random people that we feel called to. So there's gonna be different videos that come up of how we're showing up and serving. And I just wanna tell you, I say all of this not because I want any congratulations or that I'm doing such an amazing thing. I'm sharing all of this because a lot of you donated money. And a lot of you wanted to be involved in this journey. And I feel bad that I can't show the pictures of these babies and let you see us playing with them. And all I can show is this like buying food because I'm not supposed to do all that, and I can share my stories. And it's just taken me a while to get to this one because it's so heartfelt, and more will be coming. I have to send all of this to my editor, and I just, you know, I wrestle with that thought of sharing and making you feel like, oh, if I'm not showing up and serving at like an orphanage clear across the world, I'm not really showing up, because you are. Because you can show up and just being happy and being there for those in your sphere of influence, your family, your friends, your community. There are so many people to serve, and I think it was the Buddha that said this, that he said that the greatest gift you can give humanity is to be happy. And that is so true. You just showing up in your happiness and in your brilliance and being you is the greatest gift you can honestly give out to humanity. If I were to just go serve at all these orphanages but I was grumpy, that's not serving. Like, my greatest capacity to serve is to recognize my energy and to give out the best energy I possibly can, because it affects everyone around the world. It doesn't just affect my family, that's immediate effect, but it does affect those in other places. And your energy affects other people, and your greatest gift is to show up and be happy and to just be present with those around you. And if you see a need, give a coffee to a coworker that seems a little grumpy. Give a smile. Give an inner thought of intention of saying, I want to bless that person. Those are gifts. That is helping out. That is contributing. I'm sending you so much love. Please leave your comments below. I would love to hear back from you on this. This is a little bit different YouTube video, not necessarily YouTube, I guess vlog. I upload it on YouTube and put it on my blog, but just wanted to let you guys know about this and just give you a little glimpse of what we're seeing and the grocery shopping and a little stories. Sending all my love. Thank you for clicking like. Thank you for sharing this. Thank you for leaving comments. I love hearing from you. We're a unity and tribe all together. Sending you all my love. Bye-bye.